Hmm. Okay, we'll just wait a few more minutes and then get started, or a few more seconds, I should say. Okay, I think it's about time. Let's get started. Hello, and a very warm welcome to you all to the PeopleCert ITIL Tool Day for 2025. My name is Ashley Bassett, and I'll be host again for today's event. I've been working in the IT service management industry for more than 20 years, with most of those years within the PeopleCert ecosystem. Prior to joining PeopleCert more than 3 years ago, I managed a global training and consulting organization working alongside a number of ITSM tool vendors. I'm so pleased to say that today really demonstrates the value and the strength of our ATV program, continuing the outstanding success of last year. This is our third ITIL Tool Day, and we have some really interesting and thought-leading topics we're going to cover today. This year, like last year, we have some really impressive numbers to share. We have 11 vendors presenting to you throughout the day, and we've had over 4,500 registrations that will join us today from over 120 countries from around the world. So I'd like to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to join us. Just want a quick view of the PeopleCert ecosystem. We have three areas in our business and IT. Our training and certification products remain the largest channel through our accredited training organizations, and we have significant programs to continually enhance our product families and our partners and our customers. This year, we've continued to strengthen our ACP program, and we've migrated from the previous Axelos domain to a new structure and place in peoplecert.org with improved functionality and more content, tools, and templates for these partners to be more effective when offering consulting services to our enterprise customers. But today is all about our ATV channel and our technology partners. Technology's role in our industry is essential for enterprises to realizing the benefits from ITIL and service management initiatives. The scheme offers for our enterprise customers an easier route and the confidence in selecting potential technology vendors that are aligned to ITIL best practice. And for our partners, a formal accreditation that their tools are fit for purpose for the substantial investments made by our customers. Additionally, it provides our partners with opportunities to showcase their tools to broad audiences and participate in thought leadership events such as these and adding value to our communities. Last year, our ATV program has grown and adapted to external factors and demands, and now includes more than an additional 60 data points in the tool assessment related to ATI, and that's across all the practices we review. Our partners have also been involved in some leading research, including the new AI and ITSM tools, how artificial intelligence is redefining IT service management paper. In addition, our subject matter experts and architects have been busy leading the way in some core thinking with a new white paper on AI governance. A view that AI mustn't just be incorporated as another technology within IT or corporate governance, but how to manage wider ethical and more moral implications of AI in your business. With so many registrants, we anticipate many attendees coming and going throughout the day. So I apologize ahead if I keep repeating myself. It is by design, but we want to make sure we get the right messages to everyone. Unfortunately, we've not secured a date for next year, but another ITIL Tool Day 2026 will happen. We will be sending out notices in due course. The webinar is being recorded and it will be made available by email, and we'll send the link to you as soon as we've finished. And for further information on the ATV scheme, including the list and details of each of our partners and information on how to join the scheme, please visit atv.peoplecert.org. But not now, obviously, because we're about to get started. So this is the order of today. All the times are in GMT. Each partner will have about 20 minutes to present on a specific topic, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A. You'll be able to send your questions in via the chat, and we'll do our best to pose this to our presenters during the Q&A. If we can't or we don't have time, we'll pass them over to each of the presenters, and they'll come back to you directly. During the course of the day, when we switch and transition from one speaker to another, we'll be posting polls in the chat. Please participate to these to help us see trends and needs in our community. So, without any further delay, may I introduce our first speaker, Roman von Rotz from Kiberne. Roman is a project manager in Kiberne's professional services team, delivering and configuring IT service management and enterprise service management software. Roman supports customers with implementation and ongoing development in their service management process design, using role models and smart integrations to aim to deliver value. Today's session will showcase 2 real-world use cases that demonstrate how their tool effectively supports complex service management scenarios, offering a practical insight into modern automation and streamlining process management. Good morning, Roman.
Good morning. Thank you very much. You can hear me?
We can.
Perfectly. So, so now I can share my screen. Okay. So you can see the beautiful green screen I have in front of me. Okay, perfect. So, hello everybody. Nice to have you here and nice to be here. Today I'll present you 2 use cases with Kit2Help I have for my customers. One of the customers is an automotive supplier, the other one is a hotel chain. And a little bit about me at first. I'm project manager at Kit2Help. For Kit2Help at Kiberne, I made an apprenticeship as an IT specialist at first. Then I made a bachelor's degree in game design and wanted to start working on my own games. But this takes a lot of time, and I started working at Kiberne to get a little bit of money for a living and started there as a system engineer. And after that, I changed the department to the Kit2Help Professional Services, and I'm now here where I am. And that's why I can present this to you today, these 2 use cases. But enough about me. The first one is a webshop order, but not just any generic webshop order. It's a webshop order with a dynamic approval and processing. And the second one is a mail interface for external service providers. And it's important to stress out the S at providers, because it's not just an interface for one provider, but it should be an interface for a lot of different service providers. And that's why we choose mail as communication tool, because everybody or everyone understands email, every system understands email. And those 2 use cases has in common that both need a generic way to handle something. And yes, I think we will just dive right in the first use case, the webshop order. The requirements for the webshop order are quite simple. The first 2, of course, we need ordering of various products, like a normal webshop order. Of course, we need this. and a flexible product creation. So we have products with a name, we have a description, different attributes we want to define, you name it, just a normal webshop order. But this webshop order should also have a generic approval and processing process for each product that is ordered, so that we can specify if we want a special approval if a customer orders a specific product. And this is the concept of the whole thing. Yeah, this is just a simplified graphic I made for the process, because if I would put here a screenshot in here, it would be too big or either too small. You couldn't see it right, so I made this one. Each of these squares here represent a task. This could be multiple tasks, but to make it more simple, I made just one task here in each role. On the left side, we have the different roles. These are the web shop order. This is the customer ordering a product or multiple products. The role for a team leader, for some generic approvers, and an agent that fulfills the order at the end. So this is the sub-process we generate for a product if we need a special workflow with different approvers. What we also need is we have in this process different process types which define what roles are involved. We need at least the customer with the webshop order, of course, and the agent that fulfills the order, and we close the ticket after. And the roles in between are just optional. So we don't really need them, but if we need them, we can involve them in the process just as we want. And the last thing we need is, here we have these generic groups, but we don't know what, these generic roles, sorry. We don't know what group or what user needs to work on this task we create for them. So we need a possibility to set them for each product. So if we make, for example, let's say I will order a computer mouse. This is a very simple order. I just order a mouse, and this doesn't need any approval at all. So I just create a subtask with this order with a process type 1. Let's say it's just, it has the ID 1. I'll skip every lane here and just go straight to the agent. The agent may be the local IT department. And the local IT department sees now, okay, I've got a task. There's a ticket with the ordered product, and I'm the customer in this ticket. And they will deliver a mouse to me and close the ticket, and it's finished. That's it. That's very simple, and we can skip just all these roles here. We don't need any special approval for this order. But what if I want to order a computer or something else, or a specific file access, or I could even order a new process in our software that needs to be created. I can order whatever I want. So let's say I will order a computer, and if I order a computer, I just can't let every employee order a computer just because he feels like it. So I need a team leader that will approve this order, and maybe I need a generic approver like the budget department or someone else. It could be everyone. So I will make this order. The process type here is the type ID 2, for example. And we know, okay, if it's the type ID 2, we go to the team leader. And the team leader will be set in the process roles of my contact, because I do have my the team leader set there. This could be a user, for example. And he now gets the task to confirm, okay, yes, Roman can get his new computer because his old computer doesn't work anymore, or something like that. Or it's just too slow. Then he approves this, we continue, and we do have the approver 1 that's also integrated in this workflow. And we go to the budget department. The budget group gets this second task, and they need to approve now this order. But maybe they say, okay, the computer from Roman it's only 2 years old, and no, we decline this order. So they can just decline, and we close the ticket. I get an information, and maybe I'm a little bit sad about it, but that's okay. But if the computer maybe is 5 year old and the budget group says, okay, yeah, we do have the budget, everything is all right, they approve it. And we don't need a second approver or third approver, so we just skip that, go to the agent. This may be also the local IT department. They prepare and install a new computer for me, deliver it to me, and process the order and close it at the end. How does this look like in Key2Help? To set this up, we have the process I've just shown before, and in the process we define some process types. So we always start with the web shop. And these are just the names. So this is only to show how the workflow will be for the product. So we start with the web shop. Then at the end we go to the agent. This is always the agent at the end, of course, because he needs to fulfill the order. And in between, we can have different approvers. We can have one approver or multiple approvers. We can have a team leader or just a team leader, an approver before the team leader, whatever we need and whatever we like. So we can build this as generic as we want. And with these process types defined in the product, in the web shop settings, I'm able to say I want to create a sub-process if this product is ordered. And here I select my process type. And in this example, I have a web shop. I go to the team leader, to an approver, and at the end, I go to the agent. But this could also be web shop, approver, 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 agent. So I can just select one of these here. But now, who's the approver? The approver will be specified in the process role of the product. Here we have the role assignment for all roles I have in this workflow. In this case, we have even 4 approvers. And I say the first approver is the budget group. If I would have multiple approvers, it's always the first, the second, the third, and so on. And I set here the budget group. I could also set a specific account for this, but it's better to set the group to be responsible for something if someone is in holidays or whatever. And also the agent here named configuration agent is the IT group. This could also be a configuration manager or maybe a global IT group or whatever is needed. And depending on this role assignment, when I create a task for the role approver, the budget group will be set as the group that's responsible to fulfill the task. And last but not least, the team leader itself is also a process role in the role assignment of the contact itself. And the contact has its team leader set. And because I'm the contact and I'm also set in the ticket, this will automatically be set for the team leader. And that's already it. That's how we can make a very dynamic and generic products and product order for our customer. And he uses this a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. He uses this for nearly everything that can be ordered by any of his employees, say, maybe hardware, software, or anything else. He can order it, or he can make it orderable for his employees. The second use case, the mail interface for external service providers, had a little bit different requirements. Of course, we wanted a ticket workflow with the external service providers involved, but not all external service providers want to work in our software, in our ITSM tool, because they have their own ITSM tool and they wanted an interface to work with. So we said we made the communication with mail, because every ITSM tool, or even if they don't have an ITSM tool, they understand email and they know how to handle email. And we also wanted a complete documentation of the activities of the external service providers so that we know what happened during the process when it wasn't in our system. And at last, we needed the possibility to trigger process decisions via mail so that we can automate these and the service providers can send a mail activity and say, this ticket is solved, or I have an inquiry or whatever. Here is a little process I made. This is very simple and basic. A customer can create a ticket, it goes to the service desk, and the service desk now can decide, okay, this is a ticket for the external service provider. Maybe it's for, I don't know, a security reason or whatever. So he sets the service, or maybe the service is already set and it goes directly to external, but the service desk sends it to the external role where the external service provider becomes gets a task. And how does he work on his task? Yeah, he can't because he doesn't log in into Kit2Help. So we need to communicate with the external service provider. So we send him an email, and his ITSM tool gets this email and says, okay, I created a ticket for you. So, wrong button. So he sends the mail back, and we get a confirmation, okay, the ticket for this external service provider is created. But what needs to be contained in this communication, that we can have an automated notification system, so we don't need to check it all the time when we get an email or when we send an email. We need ticket numbers and activities. So when we send our email to the external service provider, we have the subject and attach our ticket number from Kit2Help. And this will be the subject the external service provider has in his system. So when he answers us, he answers with the subject, so we know the ticket on our side, and we get the activity in the correct ticket. And he also sends a ticket number from his system. And when we receive this, we just need a little customizing with a regex pattern to get his ticket ID and store it in an attribute. And every time when we now send a new email, we will just attach his ticket number, and he also gets it into his ticket we created. And now we have perfectly working automated communication, but there's one thing missing, and this is the mail activity. So in the body, the external service provider can attach mail activities just as shown here, and he can replace the word key with the key he wants to send us. This could be solved or back or whatever we want. And this key will be used to trigger the decisions in our tasks. So when he sends solved, the task will trigger the solved activity. We continue in the process, and at this point we decide, okay, we got solved as decision, so we can close the ticket. When he sends back, we will go back to the service desk because the service desk needs to do something. And if he has any questions, he can just add a key inquiry, and our system will detect the inquiry, send a notification to the customer. The customer gets the question, writes back an answer that's also logged as an activity. We send this back to the external service provider, and that's the way how they can communicate between each other, and everything is documented in our ticket. And this works perfectly fine for our customer, and every time he has a new service provider to work with, it's just a little work to do to get the ticket number and some settings we have to make to integrate this new service provider. Exactly. And yeah, that's already it. These were the two use cases I wanted to show you. And yeah, now you have time to ask some questions.
Very good. Thank you, Roman. There are a couple of questions that have come in. The first one, it comes in and says, how flexible are the customized approval processes? Right, so can exceptions or changes be handled smoothly?
They are uh, completely flexible because we have the possibility to add or remove or the roles however we want. So if we want some roles in front of the team leader, we can just add them, or after team leader or whatever, we can do whatever we want. And in the process roles itself, we can set the groups or accounts that can that will handle or process these tasks, and on that way we are very, very flexible to do whatever the customer needs.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what challenges did you encounter when integrating multiple external service providers via the email interface? And how did you ensure reliability and transparency in the communication flow?
um, I think the biggest challenge is to get the ticket number from the external service provider, because sometimes it's not in the subject, sometimes it's in the body, sometimes it's hidden somewhere in the body or at the very bottom. And we need to find a way to get this, but most of the time it's not that hard to get this. It's just hard if we have something that's very similar to the ticket ID of the external service provider, and we need a way to find the right one at the end. And yes, the transparency is a little bit depending on the external service provider. If he makes a lot of stuff but only sends a mail, solved, and we are can question ourselves, yeah, but what did you do? This is a little bit depending on the external service provider, but this is something our customer communicates with them and says, if you solve something, please write in the email, what did you do? And we can't force this with our system. That's I think the only problem we have, but this works very fine with the service provider we integrated by now.
Okay. It says the integrations is another one. All the integrations with external providers, are they just with email or do you have APIs too?
We do have APIs. If we have most of our customers, when they have just an integration with a single service provider, something we use a lot, the REST API or some CSV imports. That's the most we use. But we do have a lot of possibilities, and we can also make a lot of customizings for some very specific integrations if needed.
Okay. We have lots. We'll keep on going because we have got time. Um, are the customers required to know the activity key to update the ticket correctly? And what happens if they do not enter the right activity value?
If they do not enter the right value, it will just nothing will happen. So only if you write the correct one, something will be triggered in the system. So if you send a key that's just something ABC, it doesn't do anything. And if you but this will never happen because most of the service providers, they have automated emails. When they say ticket solve on their side, automatic email will be sent that's already contains this solved key, so they don't have to type this manually.
Another one here. Does the system have a limitation in the ticket's logging life cycle from initiation till call resolution? For example, so open, in progress, and close and dates, just to comply with the service level agreements and ensure customer satisfaction.
Can you repeat the question? I'm not quite sure if I
So
understand it correctly.
what this question means is that in order to meet the requirements of service level agreements and ensure the customer is satisfied, is there um, is there a limitation in the life cycle from initiation to resolution?
Um, if I get it correctly, I would say no, there is no limitation. So we can measure the times as just like a normal ticket. What we made for the customer to measure the solution time the external service provider needs, we make before we enter the external task, we start the solution time for the external service provider. And when he's finished and we exit this task and when we close them this, he will just stop the time. And what we also integrated is that when there's an inquiry and he can't work if the customer doesn't answer, the ticket will be paused automatically and the time will be paused also. So in this time, his time doesn't run out. And when the customer answers 2 or 3 days later, he doesn't get punished because when the customer answers, the time starts running again and he has to work on it, and this works completely fine.
Okay. And there are so many, and we'll pose some of these questions to you, and maybe you can answer them online. But I had just one more for the audience. So, one thing that we didn't really cover was reports. So, is it possible to generate reports in an easy way of all the requests and the tracking the inquiries through with external providers?
Yeah, it's depending on what reports you want to get, but all information we have in the system, there's a way to somehow display it and make a report or make a chart or whatever to make to show this displayed. I don't know if I don't find the word for what I want to say, but everything that's in the system, every information we have a way to yeah, make a report for that. That's the only way I can say it. Sorry.
No, very good, very good. Thank you. And there's loads of questions still that we won't ask now, so they'll keep you busy for a little while longer. Thank you very much, Roman,
Hmm.
for your time and your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
So next up, we have a presentation from BMC Helix, and the presentation is going to be delivered by Nick Goff, who is an area director at BMC Helix. Nick has been in the industry for almost 3 decades, both in service and operations management, with almost 20 years of those at BMC. His approach has always been people focused, delivering high profile results with customers such as Balfour Beatty. And in this session, he's going to share the opportunities, the challenges, the benefits, and the lessons learned when they introduced BMC Helix into Balfour Beatty's service management practices. Nick, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's excited to be here. 30 years, that sounds an awfully long time. Makes me feel quite miserable, but there we go. Thank you for taking the opportunity and for, I think, nearly 500, over 500 people on the call here. So thank you for the opportunity of letting us and listen to our story. So this story is what I hope you'll get out of this today is an understanding of a customer, Balfour Beatty. They're one of the world's largest construction companies with people scattered around the world building bridges and tunnels and railways. Get an understanding of how they've leveraged the BMC Helix platform. But also, I want you to take away from this who BMC are, right? So BMC have been around for a long time. I'm Nick Goff. I'm part of the sales team here in the UK. I'm going to be joined virtually by members of. Am I sharing my screen?
You
Yes,
are?
I think.
Yep, you are. That's fine,
Good,
Nick.
excellent. So I'm going to be joined virtually by a couple of people from Balfour Beatty on this session. So let's dive in. BMC Helix. I'm assuming, and many of you on the call will know BMC, but for those that you don't, we've been around for 45, nearly 46 years. We're an old software company. And we're specialists in service management and operations management, right? That's where we were. Some of you will know us, if you're as old as me, some of us will know us from a product called Remedy, which was our on-premise instance from many years ago. And you may know us from a product called Patrol, which was a monitoring technology, which again, was something that happened years ago. But in simple terms, we've taken that legacy and continue to evolve to the company that we are now. Okay, so we work with some of the world's largest companies. You'll see some examples of those here. Our go-to-market model is predominantly SaaS, but we also do on-premise. We're very proud to work in national critical infrastructure type sites, Ministry of Defense, energy production, things like that. But we work with some very large customers, so people like the Bank of England, for example, and some customers that maybe don't have such enormous budgets like the UK National Health Service. So we've got something for everybody. We're proud to be a company that allows you to dream big but start small, right? So this is a platform which allows you to start where it works for you and mature in a rate and in an order that makes sense for you. I've been in this industry 30 years. I'm yet to see the same customer twice, right? Everybody is starting from a different place. Everybody has unique problems to them. Everybody has unique ambitions and things that are most important to them. So we're a big company, a small big company is what we think of ourselves as. One of the things, and this is a presentation that we did at the IT Service Management Forum in Milton Keynes a couple of weeks ago. And this wave came out actually late, about 30 minutes after our session, which I was a bit disappointed about, right? But this is the Q4 2025 Enterprise Service Management Wave from Forrester. And it's their assessment, those of you that have not seen these before, they do a very detailed, it's scoring, right? So they measure things rather than just opinion based. And I'd encourage you to go and look at the report and see what we're particularly good at and maybe what's an area where we need to focus a bit more. But this, you'll see that they've ascertained there that nobody has a stronger strategy than us, and actually we have the strongest offering in ESM. So we were pleased about that. So everything that I say now, it's not just Nick Goff says. Analysts also say that we're doing really rather well. So what is the Helix platform? Okay, so the Helix platform is at the base layer. Everyone will tell you this, right? It's data. It's a CMDB. One thing that we think is very important is this technology here of discovery and service modeling. We see very strongly, and certainly Balfour Beatty see this as well, that people don't consume servers and load balancers and pods and containers. People consume services, right? And therefore it's down to us as an industry to help you make that connection between a pod and a container and a business service, the billing system, the SIM activation system, whatever it might be, whatever makes sense to you, because nobody in the history of service management has phoned up and said, lon/4_prod has a problem, right? They ring up and they say the billing system's in problem, got a problem. So we've, over many years, we've got different techniques and we've refined them to not only build a service model for the first time, but also maintain that service model. And those of you that were at the IT Service Management Forum in London will have heard Vodafone talking about how they're using BMC technology to discover and model and maintain thousands, right, of business applications and how those business applications relate to business services. So it's a platform that's available that does that. Our platform is available in a cloud of your choice, so AWS, Azure, etc., OCI. But we also allow people to do it on-prem, as I said earlier on. So a platform that's got a lot of stuff in it and it has the ability to integrate to other systems, right? We understand that a good service and operations management platform is really the heartbeat of your whole organization, right? And like your heart, it needs to be very well connected to the other parts of your body. But in simple words, and this is where a lot of people will recognize BMC from, is IT service management. Yes, we do that, right? And we're brilliant at it. You'll notice that it's just one small part of this box, because as well as IT service management, we have other out-of-the-box lines of business, right? So for HR, so including your onboarding process, your in-life activities, and your offboarding. Field service management, so a man in a van to go and go do some work, right, to collect a laptop, or we have one customer that they mow the grass around the bottom of a cell site for the telcos, right, through to facilities, my lights flashing, etc., through to legal services. And we also have the ability for you to build your own custom lines of business, right? So this is a line of business that demands case management, but doesn't need the heavy process overhead that it can sometimes feel that we have in ITSM, right? ITSM is a very complicated set of workflows that demands that level, that overhead. So, but you know, I've got a flashing light in my office, probably doesn't need that, right? So we have the ability to build and maintain service lines of service which are more than just IT service management. You'll see on that slide a minute ago, we had lots of customers that were telcos, right? And, you know, I've reflected on, you know, I've been in this industry, as I said, a long time. You know, why is that so? My observation is that telcos have more IT than your average company. They also have a lot of complexity, both political and organizational. But they also have things in IT, in their IT, which isn't classic IT, right? So, you know, radio access masts, things like that, right? So we have a special service management product that's aimed just at network operators. Few minutes in, I haven't spoken about AI yet. I'm going to talk about AI now. The AI used in our platform, which allows you to use your large language model, right, based upon your data, is leveraging these a few agents, right? We don't think people need thousands of agents. We think you need a few agents with multiple skills. So things like Change Risk Advisor there is now changing the way it works for the world, for customers, because, you know, change to some level has been a trust-based process, right? Do I trust Dave? Well, Dave always messes it up. I'm probably going to reject Dave's change. Harry is brilliant. I'm going to accept. It's not really a very smart way of doing it, right? So we're using AI to interrogate the type of change, when it's being done, the change success rates, etc. So you have an agent working with you to say, if I was you, I know you trust Harry, but Dave's one's probably more likely to be successful than Harry. So we have AI across the platform. We also have a common interaction layer. You'll see that in a couple of slides' time from Balfour, which allows people to request not just IT services, but also other services. We have one customer, they had, before they started working with Helix, they had 96 different ways of requesting services. Phone numbers, portals, email addresses, different websites, applications, right? They removed all of that complexity, just allowed the digital workplace to be the place for people to go, and the technology takes away that confusion. And we also have, to help your employees, we have an employee navigator agent. So this is an agent where, so, you know, for many years, people have been struggling with chatbots, right? Word matching, decision trees, all of those things were suboptimal. You know, AI today changes that paradigm significantly. The other thing that we're seeing, and you'll see it in the Balfour Beatty slides, is that we're seeing people not want to go to an application to integrate, to talk, right? The best UI is no UI, right? Is just to go into Teams and have a conversation. So everything that you see here, or in Copilot, so everything that we're talking about can be surfaced and managed through Copilot or Teams. On the other side, operations management. You remember I said that we come from this world of remedy historically and patrol historically. We've got a lot of experience in this thing, right? They're kind of two sides of the same coin. So the operations side of the platform, right, allows us to ingest event information from your multitude of different monitoring technologies. We also, in box 2 and observability, we've got a really good monitoring technology ourselves, right? We've had it for a long time. We also have the ability to ingest and understand logs. Now, we think that's very important, by the way. What we're seeing is many people in the industry, as younger people, less tenured people come in, you know, I as a man that's been in the industry a long time, can look at the 4 meters of log file and say, well, you need to ignore the first 3.5 meters because the information you want is down here. Somebody else with less tenure may not understand that, right? So we have the ability to ingest and understand logs. In terms of capacity management, the platform allows you to, some problems with capacity, right? So capacity, the industry will tell you that 1/3 of all major incidents have at their heart a problem with capacity, typically not enough. But we'll also know that 40%, up to 40% in data centers is unused compute just heating the environment. It's a problem, right? The problem is you don't have the right capacity in the right place at the right time. Helix technology helps you do that. We also ingest, we're not a vulnerability scanning tool, but we ingest vulnerabilities. And if you can understand that down in the bottom here, we were making sense of all of this data and building and maintaining services, now you can have some service-aware vulnerability management, because I've got a lot of vulnerabilities, right? I can't fix them all. So let me start in the place where I'm most vulnerable. And of course, the definition of service allows us to prioritize that stuff. The AI ops technology that BMC is famous for now is the ability to take all of this information and apply AI on top of it so that we can do very smart things, right? We can ignore event noise, right? We're all familiar with event storms. It enables service management to be much more specific about where they assign the ticket to, right? Because we know the reason the application isn't working isn't because the application isn't working. It's because the database is dead, right? Let's not hassle the application team or the network team who often get affected. So again, we think that's people are using that through Copilot and Teams. So the ability to run a major incident, for example, through Teams rather than through a native application. And obviously you can see how the Gen AI kind of thing and summarization capabilities of large language models helps you. So that's the BMC Helix platform. But this is Michelle, who's a little bit of a setup here.
Hi everyone, my name's Michelle Price and I'm Director of IT Services here in Balfour BD. I really hope the video you saw went some way into seeing some of the incredible construction and engineering projects that our teams are involved in across the UK and beyond. Our teams operate literally everywhere, from busy city centres like this to remote, challenging, often hostile environments. This really wide operational footprint means our IT systems have to be reliable, secure and flexible and provide support to our people just wherever they may be. To keep pace with both the scale and complexity of the work we do, we needed a smarter, more integrated approach to IT, one that could start to anticipate issues for us, automate routine tasks, and most importantly, empower our teams to start delivering real value. I'm really proud to say that our onboarding process for new hires is now fully automated thanks to BMC Helix. That means for us, when new colleagues join, everything's at their fingertips. They're learning everything about our organisation directly through the Helix platform. We've also ensured that on day one, our new starts, wherever they may be, city centres, out in the field, will receive everything such as their laptop, their mobile phone and other peripherals they may need on day one. And I'm really pleased to say our fulfilment rate at that is almost 100%. And this is just one small example of how it demonstrates how we've streamlined and improved our employee experience. Going to hand over in a second to our very talented service desk manager, David Lee, who will go into some examples where we've used BMC Helix in the service management arena to see some real transformation. And I just wanted to leave by saying I'm really excited about our future and our plans to expand the use of BMC Helix, that predominantly by the introduction of AI Ops and Helix GPT. I'm really confident that these solutions will make us work much smarter, certainly not harder. It's about moving from reactive operations into intelligent, adaptive and proactive IT, how we serve our users really well. It's not just another tool for us, it's a step forward in being a much more intelligent, connected and efficient organisation. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, Michelle isn't here to
Hi,
carry on.
everyone.
Oh, it's Dave, unfortunately. But so what Dave would have told you is he has a team of 23 people. He supports 13,000 people around the world, and they're busy people, right? So, and they are busy, but also incredibly maintained a 92% customer satisfaction. Balfour, they migrated from ServiceNow to BMC. I'm happy to go into the details of that if anybody wants to contact me. But they've been a BMC customer for 4 or 5 years now. This is an example of the portal that they built, and I'm conscious of time. So I'm going to whiz through some of this. But those of you that remember Remedy from green screens and stuff like that, we've been busy, right? So what you'll see here is what I explained with the different lines of business down here, and you'll see that they've got many different lines of business at Balfour here. One of the things that I think is very interesting, and I'm going to go on a bit, is this concept here of workplace adjustments. I thought this was a very interesting and insightful piece of work that I wanted to share with you. Balfour had a lot of people that were neurodivergent or had disabilities, but some of them were kind of hidden. They didn't really want to say, look, boss, I'm not so great with this stuff, right? I need a bit of help. So they had this inclusion portal where people can request assistive technologies to help them in their business, and that you see they've had 300 people use this technology. The other thing that they did was really powerful in the Helix platform. I thought this was brilliant. Was that they were very concerned that when people were registering as an employee, that it asked you to register your first dog, your favorite food, your football team, whatever, as a validation question. And they were finding that people either forgot the answers or never set it up in the first place. So they built a service request in Helix, which integrates out to HR data that you will know. So it might be, some of the postcode or some of your home address that perhaps other people don't know. And it asks you letters out of those questions. The service desk professional has no concept of whether you're right or wrong and which letter's right or wrong. It just says you're either authenticated or you're not. And they've built in the workflows that say if you're not authenticated, then don't authenticate them again, right? It's a problem. We need to do something else. So really cool use of the technology. I was really impressed by that. The other thing that they've done is they've rolled out this portal concept for people to be able to request services and equipment, etc. To their joint ventures, right? So they didn't want, for example, someone from Volker Highways to be able to request an assistive keyboard that should only be available to a Balfour Beatty employee, right? So they've built and maintained many of these external dashboard portals to allow other people to do. Some stuff on numbers. This is they're busy people. Poor Dave is a busy guy. You'll hear that Michelle spoke about the 100% automated onboarding. It was very interesting when they looked at their onboarding process. And those of you that know Remedy might be saying, "Oh, we didn't know we did this stuff." I hope that's how you're feeling. When they looked at their onboarding process, they actually had 7 different onboarding processes. So a different process for somebody that was working on a building site on a day rate, through to the CEO who has a different onboarding process. Who would have guessed? So they're busy with us. This is part of their operational hub, right? And what I wanted to show you is this is the Helix platform. So all of those dashboards, apart from the middle one at the top, which is their telephony system, all of the other screens are based upon Helix data, and it's Grafana dashboards that are baked into the technology, and it's really their cockpit that they use to drive their business. All of this has meant, since they've been on the Helix platform, that actually they've been able to maintain the service level, which is this line up here. In fact, slightly improve it, it looks like, actually with less staff. So one of the things they've seen is as they've achieved more automation on the desk, those people that are on the desk have been able to be hunted to go into higher level parts of the IT department, right? So you'll see that as things have gone down, the customer sat has retained the same. The use of virtual agent, I think somebody might have said it earlier on, that's an area that's improved an awful lot, right? And one of the things they've been doing with BMC Helix is working with our design teams to actually have a chat bot that's special to Balfour Beatty. I don't know whether he's scary or lovely. I don't know. He's got no nose, which always worries me a little bit. So yeah, so close collaboration. We're really proud to work with Balfour Beatty. I hope, and I think I'm at the top of the time for questions. I hope you've understood a little bit about the Helix platform. I hope you understand that we work with lots of different customers from lots of different industries. We're service management, we're operations management. We don't try to stuff everything down your throat. It is a platform that allows you to think big, but start small and mature in an order that makes sense to you. And everybody is different. And we're really one of the market leaders in our industry. I'll pause now. Hopefully that was interesting. Any questions?
Awesome, Nick. That was really good. Thank you very much indeed for that. We do have some questions, and I'll post those to you in a moment. I was just looking a couple of slides back, and there was the graphic with the charts, and you saw the calls coming down and the chats going up, and there was an improvement in the service levels. Just a quick question. We're looking at that. Is the chats are they chat bots or AI driven that's made the service, or are those specific agents at the desk?
It's a good question. And one of the things that they do is in Helix, we have the ability to be able to, for one agent to manage multiple chats at the same time. So you can start off with an agent, with an automated agent, old school, right? Word matching, decision trees. That's the next evolution for them, is to move away from that to the Helix GPT agents, which I spoke about earlier. But what this is about what we call virtual agent, which allows one service desk agent to manage 4 or 6, you can configure it, parallel chats. And what Dave explained on the day was that some people love doing that. They don't really want to talk to people on the telephone, and they quite like just being able to run lots of chats. But other people in his team actually say, that's not for me. I like to talk to people. I'm a people person. So he's been managed to sort of weigh his team up and structure his team appropriately, that everybody gets to interact with the humans in the way that they most enjoy.
Excellent. Okay, so some questions that have come in. One says, I've not seen capacity management effectively implemented anywhere. What differentiates BMC here? Also, is BMC CMDB agent or agentless?
Okay, so let me do the first question first. I'm really pleased you said that. I was at a meeting the other week with a group of capacity managers, and we were trying to decide what is the collective noun for a group of capacity managers. I'm not sure. There were lots of interesting questions, but it was Sky actually do some amazing stuff, right? I mean, mind-blowing. Strap yourself in, whoever asked that question. Here's an answer. So what they're able to do is buy just-in-time compute, which they buy very cheaply, because they're able to forecast the number of people that are on the Sky Go app to this level of detail. They explained that some time ago, there was a very large Premier League game, which meant lots of people were watching it on their phone, that the profile of watching the compute demand of a football game is in the first 10 minutes, it's very high. And then people go, it's not so good. It's probably Tottenham, right? Then it drops off. Then in the beginning of the second half, there's a peak that's higher than the first half, because everybody that was watching Tottenham now goes and says, well, let's go and see what the Arsenal game's doing. That peak of the second half coincided with the start of a Bundesliga game and the final series, the final episode of Game of Thrones. And what they were able to do, if you imagine this is your required capacity and that is your deployed capacity, using Helix, they're able to model and buy just-in-time storage so that you're required, and the demand goes up and down at that level of interval. The best and the only option apart from BMC Helix is Excel and VLOOKUP, right? So it's go and have some of that. I'm more than happy to have a conversation about capacity management. What I saw last week with customers like Lloyds Banking Group, Department of Work and Pensions, Computer Centre, and Sky, I think were the four that I was talking to. Incredible stuff. Getting capacity right is really important. It's very embarrassing when it goes wrong.
Sure. Another question is when requesting the provision of equipment, is there an approval process attached to the request?
Yeah, and I think the way they've configured the Helix platform is that some of the things are pre-approved, right? Low value, I want a new mouse. I don't think that goes through approval processes, but the routing to the appropriate cost center owners and stuff are all in the platforms. Yeah, you saw, I forget how many service requests they had. It was it 3,000 or something? It's a significant number. I'll see if I can go back and find it. But it's a significant number of service request types that they have. It's in here somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, so that's how they do it. It's significant, and they all have those workflows built in. Okay.
How long is a typical implementation for an organization who is not a mature IT service management environment to being fully implemented? And I suppose that scope, that's a defined scope.
Who asked that? Send me an email afterwards. We'll talk about it.
Scope, right? But let's say, specifically around the service desk, maybe.
So if you were looking incident, problem, and change, and you didn't need lots of integrations, and you didn't have lots of historical stuff to import, right, afterwards, and you weren't going to spend weeks to sort of working out what your work instructions were and saying, well, we didn't do it like that in the old system, right? We always had a blue button in the top right-hand corner. You can see go lives in weeks, maybe a few months, right? This is sophisticated enterprise software. But what we think is that this isn't, do it and then finish. The most successful customers that we have at BMC have somebody in the middle of all of this that understands the people involved, the processes involved, and the capabilities of the technology. And that person has a mandate and a vision that says, I'm going to start small, I'm going to think big, and I'm going to mature in an order that suits me, right? It's not a get to the finish of go live and then you never do anything ever again, right? What you heard from Balfour is that this is now moving into operations management, right? Because they're kind of pretty good at service management, but now what they want to do is they want to stop things failing in the first place. They want to fix things quick, identify what fails quicker than they did before. And then when they get to the failure, they want AI to tell them that the 35 times this has happened before, this is how you fixed it. Do you want me to do it for you, you simple monkey-brained human?
Nick, that was a really good presentation and a good Q&A session. Thanks very much
Thank you
for your time today.
Please reach out to me.
But there's some questions and more questions and some very specific questions for you to answer in the chat. So when you pop off and then answer those, and then I'll catch up with you over the next couple of days. So before we move on to Freshworks and Ross and Phil get themselves together and post on screen, we're going to put a poll out to all of you. If you could look through the poll and answer some questions, that'll be really good. So while we're doing that and Ross and Phil get themselves ready, let me just do a brief introduction. So Ross has over 20 years in sales management and 3 growing the business in the IT service management at Freshworks.
Poor old Ross, poor guy. 20 years, he looks older than that.
I was hoping I was going to say younger than that because it's not quite 20 years.
And Phil has a strong background and experience in service management, both bringing both a commercial and strategic mindset to the customer engagements. And today they're going to show how modern IT leaders can transform incident management from a cycle of firefighting to a process of flywheel of continual improvement using a case study with New Balance. They will also reveal how AI-powered detection Automated response and continuous learning generate greater resilience, improved agility, and business growth. Phil, Ross, welcome.
Thanks, Ashley. And as I look on my screen, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if the background is flipped the wrong way to everyone else's, but it looks like it when I look at myself. So
it's okay.
It's okay. Good. Nice to know. Otherwise, that might put a few people off. So, and hopefully, as always, with the start of a presentation, everyone can see my screen, in which case we are good to go. And we are literally bang on 5 past. So that's always nice when things are running on time, right? So as Ashley has alluded to, we're going to talk about how you can utilize Freshservice to turn incidents into IT momentum and build resilience rather than be reactive, be proactive. Now, we'll do a quick intro to ourselves, a few slides, then we're going to move on to a demonstration followed by the customer story that Ashley alluded to there. So for myself, Ross Serpis, I'm a lead account executive here at Freshworks. My role really is to help you shape your strategy and ultimately help you make an informed decision about whether Freshworks as a product is a good fit for your organization or if something else is the right fit. Phil, do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, thanks, Ross. So Phil Mays, Principal Solution Consultant. So I support Ross and other colleagues from a technical point of view to really help understand how your business objectives and the business value you want to achieve relates to a technical solution.
Thanks, Phil. So look, this is the first time we've actually worked with PeopleCert and joined one of your webinars. So we're really excited about the possible partnership moving forward. But therefore we thought, let's give a quick intro to who we are because many of you may not have heard of us, right? Freshworks as a company was founded back in 2010. We're actually born out of India. And we're the first Indian company to go on the NASDAQ stock exchange back in 2021. We've grown over time to revenues over 810 million. We've got about 4,500 employees and about 74,000 customers utilizing our software and multiple market recognition, whether that's Forrester Wave, whether that's Gartner, and so on and so forth. And last year, we made a key acquisition of a product called Device42 to really build our CMD capabilities, which you'll see a little bit of today. So what are we talking about today specifically? So if we think about traditional service management and incident management, and let's be really honest where most IT teams are today, many are drowning in alerts. Monitoring tools are generating lots of noise. Some teams have even disabled alert management altogether just to maintain their sanity. And when something does break, yes, you can see the technical symptoms, CPU spikes, VPNs are disconnecting, but often you're flying blind into what that actually means in your business. Is this affecting payroll? Is it stopping customers from checking out? Often you don't know until somebody screams and tells you what's actually going on. And this means typically your teams are working in silos. Network operation have their tools, service desk have theirs, but nobody truly has that full picture. And you're all trying to solve a puzzle with different pieces. The real kicker here is you keep fighting the same fires as well. I think Nick may have alluded to this also, right? The same incidents keep coming up back again because there's no systematic way to learn from what went wrong and particularly prevent it from happening again. The result, people are exhausted, late night war rooms become the norm, and you're stuck in what we call the firefighting trap. But of course, we're going to talk to you about a better way today. And it starts with understanding that every incident is actually an opportunity. So what do we think about when we think about where most organizations are on some sort of maturity curve? Every IT team sits somewhere on this spectrum, and your position really determines if incidents catch you off guard or if you see them coming. So this reactive zone is the danger zone, right? It's these incidents are found by customers or even the media before IT knows about them. And this happens because you've got no unified monitoring, visibility, and you're flying blind. If you look at managed, this is where most organizations sit. You've got tools like SolarWinds, Datadog, CloudWatch, but they're potentially running in silos. So you've got noisy alerts that are duplicative. Correlation of those is manual and slow. By the time you've connected the dots, users are already impacted and your service desk is getting bombarded with calls and tickets. Where you really want to get to, of course, is the proactive state, the target state. This is where you want to be. Instead of siloed tools, you have a unified platform. Integrating with all your monitoring tools, utilizing AI to correlate signals. So 5 separate alerts become one intelligent notification that tells you exactly what's wrong. And the critical piece is that signals are correlated across all your endpoints and infrastructure. You're not just seeing technical symptoms, you're seeing the full picture, right from the server level, all the way up to how it's actually impacting end user experience and the services that are impacted. Issues tied direct to those business services, so teams know what's failed, why it matters, and can action accordingly. And this is what your CMDB can give you. That's a key difference between going from managed to proactive. So as we go through this, as we go through the demonstration, have a think about where you think your organization is on that spectrum. Now, this flow represents the ideal way of transforming your operations by following a disciplined 5-stage life cycle. So let me talk you through it. First of all, we detect. You can't fix what you can't see. Of course, most organizations are doing this, but really you want that unified monitoring and intelligent correlation to spot issues early before end users notice. That's why mean time to detect now matters more than mean time to resolve. Now, once detected, you assess. Context is everything here. You want your CMDB to tell you what services are impacted, who needs to act, how critical it is, and this can then turn panic into precision. And you can respond. That's the third category. Now, this isn't about heroics, it's about orchestration. Automated playbooks that trigger the right people to come together in the right channels, the right teams. Escalations happen instantly, so everyone starts really well aligned and can get on with fixing the problem, which of course is the next phase, resolve. This is where you want AI to start doing some of the heavy lifting. Co-pilots recommending fixes, identifying likely root causes, and helping teams to resolve incidents faster. It's not AI for the sake of AI, it's real intelligence that compounds your team's expertise by directing them towards a resolution fast. Now, the final phase, which is the learn phase, is what most organizations skip. Realizing that every incident should make you smarter. So automated post-incident reviews and knowledge-based updates are key. Looking at the root cause analysis that feeds back into prevention and can move you through into problem or change management. And when organizations embrace this, they see a 73% reduction in repeat incidents and tickets. This 5-stage life cycle, it's not about working harder. It's about working with complete information and having a systematic approach. And if you think about the CMDB that underpins all of this, right? This flow represents the ideal CMDB setup and forms the foundation for everything else that we'll talk about today, from basic service management all the way to advanced AI operations. So let's walk you through each of these components. First, we have the inputs. We capture the data through multiple vectors. Could be manual input, but ideally it's discovery tools, event triggers, maybe APIs. Then we cleanse that data. This is critical, right? Data quality through normalization, deduplication, categorization, and even AI-driven enrichment. And then your core CMDB becomes this central repository. Service maps, access controls, and more importantly, dependency relationships. And therefore you get your output. And this transforms this data into actionable intelligence through dashboards, through maps, through analytics, and through integrations. And note as well the feedback loop at the bottom there. This continuous discovery and update cycle is what keeps your CMDB accurate and relevant. And this is particularly critical when we consider AI-driven automation, because this depends entirely on the quality of your data. AI can only automate what it can see and understand in the CMDB, not what someone has in their head. So we make this continuous discovery cycle essential with modern operations. And when we think about how this impacts how the top CIOs are focused on their concerns, the biggest concerns we hear today is reducing MTTR by providing immediate context for troubleshooting, minimizing costs through optimized resource allocation and license management, and mitigating risk with complete visibility for compliance and security. These are all top of mind for CIOs, and this is what we're helping them solve. So I'm going to move on to Phil now with the demonstration.
Thanks very much, Ross. And let me just share my screen and we can walk through it. So I'm going to start over here. We're looking at the fresh service desk. What we have here is we have a number of alerts which have come in from your monitoring tool. Could be whatever you have, we can integrate with it. The key thing though, when we look at one of these alerts which has come in, the first time we run it, oh, apologies, my internet's running a bit slow here. The first time this comes in, it will do a number of things. It will automatically create an incident so we can start getting people working on resolving the issue. And this is where that proactivity comes in. So rather than waiting for people to report the issue and say that there's an impact on the business service, we can already get going. For our correlation, instead of having an alert storm, any alerts which come in, which are related to the same CI, the same issue, automatically get correlated in here. So we know that we have the information we need, but we're not getting overwhelmed. We're not creating duplicate incidents. So we're making sure that the right people are working on the problem and there's not duplicated effort. So when we have a look at the incident now, we come through here and we can see we've got a number of key bit of information that come in. We get the key details, which are available here. We get this incident automatically assigned, so we can start working on it. And then we can start to see some other additional information here. We can see that a private note has been added to say that the team has been notified via MS Teams. So automatically, we can notify the greater IT support team that there's a critical incident happening and that they need to be on standby and alert. We'll also automatically create an announcement in our portal and through other channels so that the end users understand what the impact is so that we can alert them to say, we know what's going on, we're working on it, we'll get back to you, so that we help prevent a flood of tickets as well. And one thing you'll notice is that the alert was raised against a particular virtual server, but we're talking about the service impact here because that's what people, the end users, understand. And so how do we get to that service which is impacted? Because right here we have a virtual machine supporting Tomcat, but you'll also see we've automatically created the link to the impacted service. And this is where the CMDB that Ross talked about really comes into its own. So we have an alert which comes through on the Tomcat from our alert system that is automatically correlated with the asset that we have auto-discovered and put into our CMDB. Through the auto-discovery and dependency mapping, we can then understand the interrelated components and the ultimate business impact that we have up here. So while we have the alert sitting down at this level, it would automatically propagate up to the business service. So we definitely know the impact and we can send that notification out to users and we know what's going on. And that will help us as well identifying the impact, the urgency of this particular issue. Now, you might have seen a certain word which caught your eye on the screen when we talk about Freddy AI. And Freddy AI Copilot is our own solution. It's built on our platform. It is pre-trained for service management. And also it means that your data stays within the system. You're not relying on a third-party GPT where your data could be used to help other customers. And so that also has massive implications for privacy concerns as well, to make sure that everything is protected and you're fully compliant. One of the things that it's brought up is that we can see that there's a similar ticket that we have on here. We can see that this is also been impacted and that someone has already started working on it. We can see they've added a note to say that they need to upgrade the storage and they've linked it to a problem. So let's open that now and then we can go through and see what process that we would want to do. Before we do that, however, we probably want to add a note of our own. We can say we need to upgrade the storage, but then also, I just refresh my screen for my internet connection here, we can also then get it to automatically generate an output for us so that we can then look up and look around for a potential workaround. Let me just come back to that particular screen. The joys of doing a live demo with an unreliable internet connection. So we've come through to this problem now. It's been created from the incident, and you'll see a couple of key things. We have the incident where we've rated through, so we have that full audit trail and we follow ITIL best practice. But then also we can see that we've raised a change in order to resolve the issue, to upgrade the storage. We see our assets have automatically been pulled through. And on the front page, and this is what I was alluding to before, we can see here that we have a temporary workaround in order to clear up the storage so we can get the service up and running before we can do the upgrade. But you can see here we have the basis of ability to suggest a permanent solution. Now, what we want to do is have a look here and see if we have anything in there. Unfortunately, we don't have anything yet in our knowledge base similar to the workaround. So we know that as part of best practice, as part of iterative improvement, once we do have that workaround in place, we want to then go and create that so that then we capture what the resolution is and make sure that it's permanently fixed. So from here, we can work through onto the change, complete it, make sure it's up to date, and then bring that to a close. So then we can close the incident eventually, and then we know that we've resolved the issue and regular service has resumed. So then let's, in the meantime, like I was trying to look at before, we could add a note to say, and we can use our AI to help us either expand it or rephrase. So let's expand the text. And we add our note. And then we want to then use Freddy AI to create a summary so that anyone else looking at this ticket, whether it's escalated or passed on, knows what they need to do to work on to continue working on the issue. So let's assume we've closed that now. We've gone through the change. We've resolved the problem. One of the things I mentioned there is, as part of best practice, we then want to make sure that in future we capture what to do in this particular situation. So we can come through to our knowledge base here, and we see we have our temporary workaround, which we've already created. What we want to do is to create a permanent fix so that then we can work on this. And we know that someone else coming across this issue has all of the steps of what they need to do. I'm going to go create a new article now, and you can see here our AI can help you draft that for you. So this is what I want it to do. When I hit go, this is the only time it's going to look at some publicly available sources to create a draft, but also it's going to search any resolved incidents in order to find out where we fixed this before and capture that information so that others can benefit from it. And again, apologies here, this is my internet has gone a bit slow, so let's just refresh and then try to run this again. But then what we'll be doing is creating this article. That's much better. And like I said, it's looking for resolved tickets and also publicly available information. And we can create ourselves a draft article here where then we can then edit, make some changes which are specific to our organization, and then save it and publish it through the right approval process. Now here, rather than end self-help, we want to make it available only to agents internally. For then we save, can publish that. And then if we come back to our problem, we want to then add that and insert that into problem. So now we have our permanent solution there. So there we go. What we've seen is leveraging the capabilities of a fully published CMDB, which is kept up to date through a dependency mapping and discovery solution. We can see alert correlation in order to proactively generate incidents, notify the end users, and understand what the impact is. Then we can work through the solution, follow best practice, learn from what we've done, and quickly, iteratively populate the solution so that then the next time this comes along, we can resolve the incident much faster. Thanks for listening to the demo. I'm just going to hand back to Ross now, and he'll talk you through the use case, the case study rather.
I went to chat there while I was on mute. And while I bring the presentation up, we have had a question comment, so why don't we answer that now, and then we can move on to further Q&A after the New Balance case study. And I'll attempt to give it a little bit of an answer because I've had a bit of time to think about it as well. That's the benefits of not running the demo. But Phil, if you want to chime in on this, I'd be much appreciated. So the question really is data integrity is a critical success factor for any CMD project? How do you ensure this is given the right attention for a successful implementation? Now, I'm sure our implementation team will come up with a far better answer than what we're going to give, but we'll certainly give a good one, hopefully. And look, yeah, data integrity it's a core success factor. So really for me, it's about focusing on getting the foundations right very early on. So during onboarding, we agree on naming standards, CI structure, what are the sources of truth? Where is this data going to come from? And then we use like automated discovery along with reconciliation rules to avoid duplicates and avoid getting bad data. And then it's about ensuring you have the processes in place for ongoing governance of that, data quality reports. Have you got the right validation rules? Who owns all of this and is going to make sure it's accurate over time? Phil, if you've got anything to add to that whilst I start sharing my screen again, that'd be great.
No, I think you've covered that pretty well. I would like to emphasize it is that auto discovery really, which is a really key part of that. Once you've defined it, made sure that you know what it's going to look like. You want to make sure that it's kept up to date on an ongoing basis.
Cool. And we've had a few more coming, but we'll answer those after the case study. So yeah, let's talk briefly about New Balance, who I'm sure you already know exactly who they are, a global brand with retail stores, distribution centers, manufacturing, business-to-business operations, as well as business-to-consumer, and IT teams spread across multiple regions. And they were facing a number of different challenges, right? So they had multiple disconnected tools across retail, across corporate IT, facilities, HR, loss prevention. Each team was operating in its own silo, which meant they had no unified visibility, no shared control, no consistent way of handling incidents globally. So they couldn't get to the phases that we're talking about today. And they were flying blind. They had no integrated change control. Any infrastructure update was carried with plenty of risk across all their retail locations, with one wrong move having a massive potential impact on stores and distribution and customer experience. And a lot of this came down to their asset data being incredibly fragmented. Legacy computer associates on their service desk couldn't give them reliable source of truth or an inventory or network dependencies. So every incident was effectively taking much longer to resolve because the context simply wasn't there. And finally, a little bit left field to what we've been talking about here, service delivery was limited really to only IT. So critical functions that were engaged like HR, facilities, loss prevention, really had no standardized, consistent ways of working. And ultimately what they did is they moved to Freshworks, Freshservice, along with our advanced CMDB capabilities. And you can see the comment there, prior to Freshservice, they had multiple tools doing multiple things. And now they have, they're effectively flying blind. And now they have an integrated approach, right? They've deployed 133 agent groups, standardized workflows globally across all of New Balance. They now process well over 5,000 tickets every month on a single platform. And they've expanded their service delivery into more than 4 departments so far with the same operating model. And exactly what we've covered today They looked at how can we detect faster, make clearer assessments, automate the routing, and get quicker resolution, as well as learn from our incidents. In other words, they've definitely shifted from firefighting to momentum, and they did that by unifying their tools, unifying their processes, creating a single source of truth in their CMDB so they had data in one single platform. Happy to take some questions on that as well, and we do have a few more coming in also. So let me just have a look at the next one. So how easy is it, Phil, to create the relationships between CIs? Is it automated through an agent or any other solution?
Great question. So yes, you can create those manually. It's very, very simple through our interface if you wish. Typically, most of them will be auto-created, and I think that relates. This answers some of the other questions that I've seen in the Q&A. Through the discovery tool, things which are discoverable are automatically related, such as, to give an example, ESX, the virtual machines which is running on it, the software, and so on. Mapped to the service, that then is discoverable as well, but then that's where you're putting some mapping and some rules in there. And that's not just our solution, that's the way any of them work. I've worked with many of the others, including some of the other vendors which are on the call today. So yeah, but otherwise, creating some manual ones, such as ownership, can be done manually, or likewise through our automation, we can create some of those as well as users are brought onto the system.
Ross, Phil, thanks very much for that. There's a really insightful presentation. I just there's a lot of other questions which I know you'll answer offline, but I do want to pose one which I know a lot of people will be thinking about. So firefighting and incident firefighting, as you call it, is it's very common for organizations, right? It is a very reactive process. But I'm really interested in how you would shift or any advice or guidance you would give to anyone out there. What are the first steps should they take in analyzing and assessing and moving from that firefighting state into one which would move into this proactive and continual improvement approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to take that, Ross, or?
You chime in first, Phil, and then I'll add to it if I need to.
Fantastic. So there's a few elements there. Obviously, we saw during the demo bringing in things like alerts, so we can be informed of what's going on and correlate that to the impact. That's sort of one key stage. The other one as well is hesitate to use the word AI, but it really as well. So what we saw, sorry, just my audio still okay?
Yeah.
I think, yep.
Yeah.
No.
Or Copilot, which is useful for our end agents, but also as well, Freddy AI gives an agent to interact with the end users. And this is all part of the proactivity rather. So we saw the help desk articles. The idea behind this is we're able to, with that agent, answer questions and help users before there needs to become a ticket. So they can effectively self-serve by being provided the right answer. As part of an ongoing process, we also track what answers are working, which ones aren't so helpful, which answers aren't even answered at all. That's automatically then surfaced within the tool so that then we can make sure that's kept up to date. So those are the key themes there. It's really bringing the right information in, but also a proactive outreach and trying to resolve issues before then it needs to come into the service desk.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Phil and Ross, for a really insightful presentation. Really appreciate your time today. Before we move on to the next one from Omninet, and I'll introduce Christian and Thomas, I think we might have another poll coming out, and we're going to try and do as many of these and squeeze them in as possible. And some of the results that we have from the polls we will we'll provide to you after the event. So let me introduce Christian and Thomas. Christian has more than 15 years experience in service management software and is responsible for the functional and strategic roadmap for the business. the business process platform OmniTracker, as well as other products. He is the lead role for AI at Omninet and is an expert from various applications for artificial intelligence in service management. Thomas has been driving technical innovation by shaping the company's product ecosystem, and with a strong focus on future-oriented technologies and scalable architecture, he defines the strategic direction of the software platforms and ensures their continuous advancement. And today, they're going to discuss how, in today's modern IT landscape, seamless integration and agility is essential, and how APIs often fall short in complex, data-driven environments, and how GraphQL overcomes this with a schema-driven approach. Christian, Thomas, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having us today. Yes, very much said about us, so let's go directly into our topics. We won't show that detailed product presentations today, but showing more a concept of general integration of solutions within the IT service management world into the ecosystem surrounding them. So short overview on who we are. So we are a rather small company compared to the further ones in this session today. We are located in Germany, in Bavaria. And yeah, we are family owned. We're founded in the late 90s, so we are around for some years as well. And our focus market is in the DACH region, like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Benelux region. But we have also lots of customers in the Eastern European hemisphere and also in the Western hemisphere. So that's our core market. We are in since many years now, and we are evolving with this market, and our customers also from mid-sized companies to enterprise and large-scale companies. So we have also not an industry focus, but we are across all industries there, and also serving our customers since many years. So we have clients working with our platform actually since the late 90s. So they're we're going all the way with us and still working on our platform. And yeah, we are very proud of that we can have such a long-lasting impact also in our customers and our customer success. So what were you doing? Our OmniTracker platform is our basic product as an all-in-one business process platform focused on in the areas of low-code process configuration, an own BPMN 2.0 engine, of course, in the meantime with an own AI solution and lots more of features. We are focused in the area of enterprise service management, of course, with ITSM suite and ITIL. But also doing a lot of more stuff in it. We have a project management application module, sales module, requirements and system engineering module. And we are, I think, one of the first, if not the first, adopter of ITIL in the German-speaking area. In the early 2000s, we hopped on the ITIL train and created our first ITIL-based application back then. And yeah, we evolved with this since then. Since a few years, we are also concentrating on the GRC market, so governance, risk, and compliance management, with lots of modules in there, as this is gaining interests across all our customers, and of course the demands are there. And we are fulfilling this also with our platform with a specialized application for that. But also, that's one of our biggest advantages, can integrate these completely also in the ITIL world. So our enterprise or ITSM service management applications cannot be completely integrated also in the GRC world, which is of course heavily connected there. And on top of that, with our platform, a lot of our customers creating really individual business applications, doing really very interesting individual stuff where there's no standard software to be found, supporting their business cases there. We can create on our platform in combination also with the other standard applications, very specific business applications. With our subsidiary Omnivolution, we also build external apps and individual web solutions. That's my colleague Thomas. He will tell you something about that later on. So diving in, what we want to show today, I want to go through some challenges we see at our customers or in the market in IT landscapes in the area of integration, challenges of different tools and solutions, and how do we solve this with a GraphQL interface. And Thomas will give you some practical use case examples, including some live demos, what we have done actually at customers with that, and some advantages for your individual businesses, which you can take from there. So starting in today's integration challenges in today's IT landscapes, there are two major impacts we see here. So that's of course common sense. Every company runs individual processes on multiple software solutions, so there's no single platform in a company. Many think they have, but in reality, it's much more. The bigger the company, the more complex the company gets. That there are more complex and diversified software solutions are there, and the challenge, of course, is then that these solutions need to work together, ideally seamlessly. And this requires that they are speaking the same actual language. And on the other side, of course, we have the ITIL principles that the ITIL framework provides, shared rules, overarching value streams that are the basis of ITIL, of course, we all know, and that's why we follow it, to bring these rules together with these organizational challenges, and bring in then the requirement, especially for ITSM systems, that they must be open and to that challenges, and offering really open, really individual integration options, which I'm sure everyone does in the one or other way. But what we want to emphasize today is a more deeper look into these platforms, what they actually need to deliver with the aim of full data access, process access, and real data and process transparency delivered and provided there. So that's the claim we have for today, and want to give a little insight on that, how we solve this. We use GraphQL as a standard integration option for that, to use this powerful interfacing for exactly meeting these requirements and these targets we need to, these challenges we have here in this topic. So what is GraphQL for those who don't know yet? It has some principles, some basic requirements. It is consumer first oriented, so it's really if you have an application, need to communicate with another application or system. It's the other way around as traditional interfaces. So it's consumer first driven. So the consumer party of this interface needs to specify what it should need, what it needs, and data and structures, and communicates this to the receiving system. And supporting their black box approach, that means the GraphQL describes and documents it completely itself. So if someone has set up a GraphQL interface of an application, of a system, then you don't need to know much more about it at what you already get provided by the interface itself. So it really reduces meetings and discussions about the business case itself and the interface itself, because it's self-explaining. Therefore, of course, it's gaining efficiency. You don't have to. One thing I already said, so you don't have to do multiple meetings about some data types or data specifics, because you get it automatically. And on the other hand, also the efficiency of the data retrieval over this GraphQL interface, it's also much more efficient, that you can save round trips for that, because you can get all the data at one glance and really can work with this data right away. It can offer, if provided that way by the vendor of the solution, a full integration into systems, which also allows you to do much more things that just simple interfaces. It's really a full integration interface capability and opportunity this interface can give you. And on top of it, it's AI ready. So the AI readiness is also there. We also have a showcase later on that, how you can use GraphQL to really integrate today's AI infrastructures in different manners you have maybe already working on in your organization, and how to use this with this kind of interface with your solution that provides that interface. So all of this combined together is supported by GraphQL as a standard, as an industry standard. And what we're covering here, just to let you know, this GraphQL standard is now around for some years and was founded by all the big names seeing here, like 26 foundation members at that time, which were pushing this standard into the world and using it, of course, in their platforms. After that, a lot of adapters came in to use also this kind of interfacing standard, and which is meaning, of course, it's everywhere. It can be used everywhere, nearly everywhere, and it should be used in certain cases. And when we are talking about which cases they should be used, of course, there's always a decision how to implement interfaces. And here's some examples what we would recommend to how to use this kind of interfaces, like complex use cases and dynamic queries across different consumers and with different need of data. So no real specification upfront what exact data should be need in that specific third-party application. Efficiency, I already talked about, of resources when using that data, and of course connection to dynamic AI environments, which is often the case. These are all requirements or recommendations. If you have that in your project, you should look for the GraphQL interface rather than other interfaces. REST, of course, still has its functionality and still has its cases. If there are more rigid data structures, lower dynamics, or high demand data, which can be easier cached with REST interfaces, that's the areas we also still use REST interfaces, of course. So this is the main background why we want what we want to cover today, using GraphQL for specific use cases we have within our client projects. And when I now come to these practical use cases, we're talking about three different use cases today. Thomas will right now show to you. The basis of all, of course, is a client of us with a customized OmniTracker ITSM application in that cases. So very individual customized application in their area of IT service management where they are working in. And it was always the target to providing a very individual, simple to use mobile app or mobile website, supporting really very specific use cases for certain user groups. So it's less about providing a standard feature for a standard platform. It's really more about a very specific approach for a very specific user group, targeted here with this front end or mobile app, what it was in that context. So with that introduction, I want to hand over to Thomas now. He will share his screen now.
Thank you, Christian. I guess I need to stop screen sharing, otherwise I'm not allowed to share my screen, Christian.
Oh, let me. It's not responding. I cannot. I leave it and come back in. Maybe then it's working. It's not offering me a stop sharing button right now. It's only sharing. Now it's gone. Now it should be working.
Right, now you should see my screen. All right, thanks for having me. Today, I want to do something a bit different. Instead of starting with features and diagrams, I want to start with a person. Because the best IT solutions don't begin with technology, they begin with real people and real pain points. But first, let me introduce you to our main character. Meet Dave. Dave is not the loudest voice in the room. He doesn't walk around saying, "Look what I built." He doesn't need a spotlight, and he definitely does not need a stage. But every company has a Dave, the quiet IT superhero, the person who shows up before small issues become a big incident, the one who sees patterns instead of chaos and solutions instead of excuses. And what makes Dave special isn't just technical skill, it's its mindset. If we keep running into the same problem, let's fix the workflow, not the symptom. Today is Dave's story. 3 everyday IT challenges, 3 lean, high-impact solutions, and 1 consistent theme. Open up IT service management so it actually works where the work happens. So let me start in the server room. Everything is documented properly. All assets live in the asset DB. Cabling is more or less clean. Inventory is accurate. On paper, it's perfect. But Dave knows a truth we all know. Perfect documentation is useless if we can't reach it at the moment you need it. Because when Dave is standing right here, next to the rack, something blinking red, he doesn't want to open a laptop, log into a portal, click through menus, search IDs. He needs the right information in the right place of action instantly. So that's the real problem Dave decided to solve. So Dave does what Dave always does. He doesn't create a 6-month project. He doesn't schedule 10 workshops. He says, I built a field worker app on my own. Lean, focused, exactly what's needed on site. And because Dave builds for the team, not for himself, he rolls it out to his colleagues, so everyone benefits. Here's what the app enables in practice. Mobile access to all assets. Everything in the asset DB is now in your pocket. You have a GPS radius search. So for example, if you stand somewhere in the building, the app says, here are my nearby assets around you. You have a barcode scanner integration to scan your assets, no typing, no mistakes. And you have a camera integration. A defect, take a photo and attach it directly to the ticket. Proper documentation happens in the moment and not hours later. This isn't flashy, but it's crucially effective. It removes friction from field service work. And this is where it becomes measurable. The entire app was built in only 12.5 days. A clean, narrow use case with huge impact. 4 times faster asset capture and ticket creation compared to a classic service portal. A PWA plus native capabilities for real field conditions. And important, GraphQL is the standardized gateway to our OmniTracker and data. It means less time per ticket, less downtime, and less downtime means real money saved. So Dave didn't just speed up a task, he speed up the entire incident lifecycle. Now, Dave barely had time to enjoy his win because the next classic problem was already waiting. Because this is Dave's everyday reality. The phone never stops ringing. Users call about VPN, password resets, printers, blue screens, the same 20 problems again and again. And Dave realizes we already know the solution. The knowledge just isn't where the user can reach it. So Dave asks a simple question. Why are we solving the same issues 100 times when we could give users the answers instantly. And once again, he built the smallest strong solution. He integrates the knowledge into the customer's intranet through the generic GraphQL interface. Now, IT knowledge becomes company knowledge. So the app is simple for users. Search a problem in natural language and find the right article immediately. Without calling IT, the most common issues are now self-service. And there aren't generic FAQ snippets. These are real solutions Dave's team uses every day, structured, visual, and actionable. Same source of truth, just delivered to the right people. It's also fully mobile and responsive, so whether you're at your desk or standing in the hallway with a broken laptop, you can now pull up help instantly. No friction, no extra logins, just answers. And again, the numbers tell the story. Dave built this application in just 9 days. Centralized knowledge management, still in OmniTracker, fast response time, intuitive UX, user focus, and again, GraphQL is the bridge to all the knowledge inside our ITSM tool. The result, fewer calls, fewer tickets. Dave didn't just publish articles, he removed an entire layer of noise from IT operation. And then we reached the moment every IT superhero knows. One day, Dave's manager shows up and says, "Dave, I need a report. Ticket numbers by different metrics, custom views for investment decisions. Of course, as always, as fast as possible. You know the drill. The data's there, but classic reporting means waiting, iterations, different teams, business intelligence, bottlenecks." Dave thinks for a second, and then does Dave things. He connects the OmniTracker to a large language model. While most people think reporting starts with spreadsheets, Dave knows it actually starts with a question, not a static dashboard, not a pre-built template, a real business question asked in the moment. Dave just asked the system naturally, "Show me the latest tickets." Through MCP, the Model Context Protocol, which is now a standard to provide large language models with context, the model can communicate directly with the data in our IT service management tool, the OmniTracker, or also through GraphQL. It reads the schema and generates the queries and executes them and provides you instant response. So you can interact directly with your IT service management. For example, show me the last tickets for a given person. Again, a query against the OmniTracker with the right results at the right time. But these are only basic tasks. Dave needed to generate a dashboard for his manager. So he asked the language model to do it for him. The LLM knows exactly how to ask the GraphQL API. Even if it fails, it's able to correct the queries and execute them again. It collects data from different entities within your system and is connecting the dots on its own. Then it thinks about how to present the data the right way. It will speed up the process. It generates interactive dashboards with graphs, bar charts, exactly what Dave needs to know. And this in real time. Dave can now deliver these insights directly to his manager. And he is happy as always. So I'm going to speed up things a little bit because we don't want to see the large language model to generate code here. Let's move directly to the result. So as you can see, the LLM created an interactive dashboard with bar charts, with pie charts, directly with the data integrated, and this in more or less real time. Dave can now create a PDF report or whatever he wants out of it and provide it to the decision maker. So Here is the architecture. We have a large language model talking to an AI agent connected to an MCP OmniTracker server, and the standardized interface underneath is, of course, GraphQL. That means the agent can safely query and use IT service management data without hard coding every possible report. This is what open ITSM looks like in practice. And suddenly reporting becomes conversational. Instead of filling out a request form, you just ask, show me incident trends for the region Europe by category of the last quarter, or break down SLA breaches by business units, or give me a clean investment summary. The system responds in real time. So Dave built this integration in just 3 days. It delivers fast outcomes, agent-first design, user access control, and even write access is safely governed. So real-time, fully customized reporting without waiting, without friction. And yeah, back to Dave. 3 everyday problems, 3 small, sharp solutions, all powered by one idea. Data and processes should be usable wherever work happens. Mobile in the field, accessible in the intranet, and now even conversational through AI. So every company has Daves, quiet IT superheroes. They don't ask for applause, but their solutions simply work. Thank you. Now back to Christian.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So that was the insight of how the Daves of this world are could work now or will work now with the systems. And as we said, as we explained, it is about openness and transparency of your systems in the organization. You have to give them the access to the systems via GraphQL in that example, and everything else is nowadays really can be fast and really integrated easily into each other, and as you might seen also seamlessly with modern architectures like LLMs and AI agents. So there's no need to implement or buy a specific thing. If your systems provide this openness and this transparency, it's easier to bring in really specific solutions and requirements to life. So what I want to show here, just an overview, of course, of the advantages you can gain out of this in your individual business organizations. It's all about integrated specialized apps, extending your existing core platforms, not necessarily replacing it, because of course they have their point, their value. You still want to proceed these, especially in the process management area, where you have your rules and processes and data of your ITSM processes, of the ITIL value streams. It's all there in place, but the access and the usage of it can be very specific and is very specific in every company I know which we're working together. It's not always the same. It's some of the other speakers have said it in the same way. It's really very unique, and you have to meet this uniqueness with these kind of options. So targeted expertise, if you have specific requirements, external apps can add deep domain-specific capabilities a standard platform may not bring out right away. For this, faster niche innovation can be done, of course, being very flexible with these extensions to meet exactly the need of the business at that point. And on the other hand, of course, the usability of these apps can be very specific, as you may have very specific user groups out there, which need a very straightforward process here, very straightforward app, and don't want to crawl around and browse around in different large applications. And yeah, no more login in ecosystems you may have in the company. You can support the best fit of tool choices, and it's of course very good scalable in any direction. So that's the major points. And just as to coming to an end, our concept here in our platform OmniTracker is a free level integration concept and approach. What we just saw here, it's just scratching at the surface. So we are here in the application layer. It's the level 1. So we have read access via queries. We have write access via so-called mutations over this interface. And can just retrieve the data from our data model, full access to the whole data model on the application layer, of course, with authentication and impersonification feature that you don't have to care about what is the data I'm exposing here. You're giving it a specific role, and the user who logs in within the external application exactly only gets that information and data he is allowed to do based on his user role. So you don't have to care about that. It's all already defined. And of course, all kind of data types you have in your system.
Okay, Christian, we're going to have to try and hurry you now because
yes,
I've let you go all the way through to the end. So I give you 30 more seconds.
Yes, I'm on the last slide. So level 2 and 3 are going deeper. We are also offering a BPMN 2.0 process automation engine. We also can address this interface in that area, start processes, retrieve processes, execute user tasks within these specific BPMN processes. And the deepest level there, the schema layer, we also can address our own configuration layer. So you can even build a specific configuration admin dialog for that if you need this. We have some specific customers needing that, like dynamic configurations of the data model via, in the end, maybe an AI agent just giving an advice to configure something new in the system. Christian, that's my ending point here.
Thank you very much indeed. And unfortunately, we don't have time for questions. And I know there are some that you need to answer directly online. And we'll have to swiftly move on to our next presentation. So Christian, Thomas, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. So next up, we have open text. And this presentation is going to be delivered by Dean Clayton. And Dean Clayton is a senior product manager and has over 2 decades experience in IT operations and service management. And he's focused on enterprise service management applications that harness AI and automation, working closely with customers on their service management strategies with a practical mindset and a pragmatic approach. Today, Dean is going to run through a case study how open text service management is transforming a university's campus operations, streamlining services that support student life, security, and financial aid, all looking to the future, moving towards more of a hint of AI. Dean, welcome.
Hi, Ashley. Great to be here, and thank you for having us. Can you hear me okay? Just want to make sure.
Hear you fine. Yep, hear you loud and clear.
That's great. Right, I'll get started on sharing my presentation. So okay, looks like I'm up and running. I'll get started. So thank you everyone for having us. I don't know about anyone else, but I've really been enjoying listening to my distinguished colleagues and what they've been presenting and they've been doing. And you know, the first thing that I would say is there's obviously lots of different vendors that are out there that provide various different solutions. And I'm always a big fan of you choose the one that's right for you and the way that you work. Of course, I always hope that that's us, but you know, you always got to have these sessions to be able to try and help evaluate what you're trying to do. So unlike Nick, I'm not quite in a huge amount of time in this industry. I am obviously only just over 25 years. So, but I've obviously got a lot of experience. We've worked with a lot of customers within our organization. And some of you may be like, who are OpenText? I don't know. Well, OpenText is an information company. We have a lot of different solutions out there, but historically, you may know our products from either Micro Focus or HP. So HP OpenView products is where we all originate from. So a long, detailed history within this space. So first, to just a little bit of a set the scene before we go into what we've done around AI and specifically with a couple of our customers, including what Ashley mentioned. I want to just highlight what we do within OpenText. So we have we refer to ourselves as observability and service management, and we have various different products within our portfolio as a single, should we say, composable platform, but you can use the individual pieces as you need, covering the breadth of the full-on discovery, observability, and monitoring solutions, or even sometimes referred to as AI ops, and then moving forward into things like automation, and then obviously service management. Now, slight issue here with share my screen. Okay, I'm going to stop and reshare. Let me just do that. Technology is great when it works. Okay. Try that again. Okay. So when we talk about that discovery and that visibility, for us, it's all about total asset visibility, being able to understand what's out there, what's on your networks, identifying, building out those service models, and obviously, not just from a server and device perspective, but also around network and applications as well. Then when we talk about the AI ops and orchestration aspects, it's all about, for us, around incident prevention. So how can we reduce that noise on your support, on your service desks, so that you can deliver what is needed, right? And then finally, at that IT service management, across that, should we say that T shape, it's all about how you deliver the various services within your business, whether that's your enterprise service, from an enterprise service management perspective, whether that's internally from classic IT support through HR, facilities, even the way different parts of the business work and how they update, but also externally. So thinking about customer service management, right? If you provide solutions to your customers and they need to get support, being able to handle that, or maybe managing the suppliers that you work with, the contracts, billing associated with those, and maybe even the various different vendors in that space. And that's all underpinned by AI and automation everywhere. So our platform was actually built on top of AI. We all talk about Gen AI today, but we've had AI and automation for a long time. We typically refer to it as big data or machine learning, and our platform has been based on that for a long time. And for us, it's about how you can utilize AI and that automation to help deliver everything a lot faster, and should we say, move to a more proactive approach to the way you deliver everything. So I thought I'd put this slide before we go down the rabbit hole, just to kind of sort of highlight some of the terms that I might refer to as I go forward. So within OpenText, we have labeled or branded everything around Gen AI called Aviator. So for us, that is the way we deliver our service. And a couple of key points, just because these questions tend to get asked a lot of the time. So we provide it as a service from our SaaS-based delivery. We have customers who are on-prem that are connecting to that, and we actually have a plan to deliver it as a full on-prem option for some of our customers where, either data residency or maybe they're on air gap networks where it's needed, and that's something we're delivering early next year. But for our customers today, whether our SaaS customers who are hosted on OpenText or whether they are in their own environment, they connect to our Aviator service, which is all hosted by OpenText. So they can have that private LLM type approach. Or alternatively, they can connect through to obviously commercial LLM. In our case, we align with Google and use their Gemini. That said, customers also have, because of the way our products are designed, they're very open, API first. So if you have your own LLM solution, or maybe you're using OpenAI or other services, you can connect that and do calls out to that over APIs. Now, you don't have the full integration like you do with our Aviator service, but it is an option some of our customers use. With the way we deliver Aviator, we don't train the LLM on your data. Okay, so we use RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, as the approach to provide real-time information. What does that mean? So if you the one I always use as an example is if you ask ChatGPT whether within your organization there's an email outage, ChatGPT is not going to go. Probably going to be quite confident in how it responds, and probably say, no, maybe it's okay, but you could check these things. But it has no visibility of that. And if we think about data in general and about information, right? What a lot of large language models are built on is that 10% of public data, right? If we think about all the data exists, just even within your organization, probably 90% of that is within your borders, within your system. So we take this RAG approach, which can utilize the data within the service management, or even pull from other data sources within your organization, and make that available to provide real-time and contextual information. And that also means down to an individual user level. So we have configurable access controls on what data could be seen, and also the entitlement of what people are allowed to see. So as a good example, if I'm someone in IT, I can't see HR-related Aviator things that are hidden for me, if there's knowledge or data that I shouldn't have access to. And that's all based on what's within our service management or SMAC solution. And you don't have to do anything extra. Aviator adheres to the controls you've already built within your service management solution. Okay. So let's go down the AI rabbit hole, and start to move forward into kind of the use cases and how we see with our customers, they're using AI to help them deliver better. So kind of aligning with one of those guiding principles of ITIL, it's all about focusing on value, right? So from a customer perspective, we should be in a situation where we want to focus in areas to help business users, right, who are accessing your service portal or maybe using things like Teams chatbots, to get the answers they need to self-solve, and if they can't solve, direct them to raise the right kind of ticket, all right, with the right kind of information. The second level that we look at is all about support agents. So how does humans, not AI agents, of course, work on the tickets that are allocated to them, right? We all now tend to work very much in that ticket-based type of approach. It's always a good way to manage the different types of requests that you have. And the idea here is ways that you could say, like, summarize tickets to quickly get up to speed on them, or maybe even updating fields so that the support staff doesn't need to, or even suggesting solutions. And then the third way, which is where I'm going to focus on today. So I'm not going to focus on, should we say, the chat type interface, because I think pretty much everyone's used to that now and knows how that works within service management solutions. I'm going to talk about automated AI workflows. So we've branded this predominantly as Aviator agents, but we also talk about AI enriched workflows. And the idea here is, where can we use AI without necessarily a need for a human in the loop, right? And not even just in the loop, maybe just triggering automatically based on where a ticket is or an issue that's raised is done within your system. All right. So what does that mean? Well, let's go through some examples. So when we first looked at having this, and this is something we've had in our system for the last year, is looking at how we can embed AI within your existing processes. All right. So here's some examples, and I'll talk about these in terms of some of our customers and what they've done. So as an example, identifying user sentiment, right? Utilizing that as a different type of reporting about how well services are being delivered. And I've got a little demo that I'll go into that based on one of our customers. But another one that you could look at as well is very much around how you could generate news or end user communications. Now, what do I mean by news? Well, we don't mean the latest thing that's going to appear on a television broadcast, of course. We're talking about how we communicate to our end users about potential outages or planned maintenance that's going to occur in your environment. Of course, you could use that for other news items. Maybe there's a charity drive and you want to publish that out to your audience. But the idea here is, if we think about people in support, there's an aspect of, I want to work on and solve that incident. I don't want to have to think about how I write that communication to send to the end users, right? So I can do that broadcast kind of message. Something that's been very popular with a number of our customers is auto-populating fields to improve ticket quality. With a number of customers, they've actually been looking at a number of different ways. So one way is, how can we streamline the activities that support staff need to do? Now, I don't know about yourselves, but back when many years ago, I used to work on a service desk. We had about 20 different fields that we had to populate on every request that came in from an end user. Now, some of those were maybe pre-populated based on the user's name and their person record. But we'd have to set things like the service, we'd have to set the category, we then have to consider who the assignment is if it's not something we're dealing with there. Then there's the status, right? Setting the status and that kind of thing. What about when we're looking at tickets that are we're solving ourselves, we'd have to set the ticket to resolved, and we'd have to fill out the solution, and we'd have to populate a completion code as well. Maybe even I know some of my colleagues used to have to fill out an extra 3-tier categorization on close. Now, why do we do that? Well, we do that because we want the reporting data, but we're impacting our ability to deliver a good quality service by forcing our support agents to do that. And isn't that what AI is here to do? To do the boring work and take it away from us? So why do we need, and one of our customers, they've had a huge impact on their support staff, whereby they are now no longer actually writing the solution. They just write their updates into the ticket as the additional notes. They check a box to say it's ready, it's done, and then AI writes that solution based on the input they've done. Likewise, one of our other customers, they are using it to identify appropriate reporting measures, so marking out the categorization that's needed on a ticket. And if you think about it logically, there's a lot of fields that we populate, that we have purely for reporting purposes, that AI can take over. And then the final one that I've got listed on here is all about triggering access controls based on PII. Dependent on the industry you're in, but even if you're just using simple HR related activities, there's likely that users are going to enter some PII, personal identifiable information, maybe on purpose, but also maybe by accident. And you might want to handle the way that those tickets are used. One of our customers has built out a setup whereby it validates and analyzes the unstructured data that the user enters, and if it identifies PII data as part of that, whether bank account details or address details, that kind of thing, and they've defined that within their AI enriched workflow process prompt template, it will redirect that ticket and lock it off, so it's only accessible to certain people until it's been validated of whether it's appropriate. Now, you don't necessarily need to go to that far, but you could at least potentially highlight the record that there may be PII and needs to be treated appropriately by your individual processes. So those are a few of the ways we've seen some massive improvements for our customers in and being more proactive and handling, should we say, doing more with less. But let's take an example of one of those, and let's look at that user sentiment. Now, for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to do this probably not what you want to be doing in the real world. All right. So we'll start here. We're on the typical service portal, and a user is going to raise a ticket. Now, again, we're not having to fill out all those fields because we're auto-generating that data based on AI. So I'm just going to log a ticket to say, how do I log into the VPN? My ticket's raised. Now, let's switch to that agent. So we've gone from David, who's raised that ticket, and we're over to our agent now, who's looking at the tickets coming in. And here's my queue. We can see that ticket's come through, and we see that the sentiment associated with that has been set to neutral, right? So we've had AI analyze the text that the user has entered and determine, okay, it's neutral, right? We've got that as a flag. Now, what we can do is we don't, in this case, we've obviously said it's neutral. And the way that this is delivered is that there's what we call an aviator model. So think of it like as a smart prompt template that you can define and tailor and configure. It's not, we provide examples, but you have full control how you want that to behave. So you're not locked down by what we as a vendor provide you. You can build in rules. Now, in our example, we have it set so the sentiment could either be positive, which we hope want all that sentiment to be, neutral or negative, right? Now, we're going to do an update to this ticket. So David's going to come along and he's going to he's going to come along and he's going to update that ticket. Try that again. Okay, he's going to come along, he's going to update that ticket now, and he's going to, as is always the way with some end users, right? A couple of minutes later, they're potentially providing an update to say that they're frustrated. They need to get this fixed ASAP, right? Okay, now a little bit over exaggerative there, but obviously to help identify. Now, when we switch to that agent view, that has been processed by the large language model, analyze the sentiment, and you can see here that that sentiment now has switched to negative, right? But not only that, because we've got this built into the processes, in this example, we've escalated that ticket. In fact, in our example documentation we have for doing sentiment analysis, we even provide the ability that it can send an appropriate notification to the end user, apologizing for the current situation with their ticket based on the information that's on the ticket, right? Whether the user said, "Oh, I'm in a rush," or maybe they're not happy with the answers that have come back. Now, personally, in the real world, and I was talking with a couple of our customers that have implemented this, they're not actually escalating the ticket on negative because, as we all know, and we're all pretty much the same here. If we find a shortcut, we're going to use it, right? We're going to find it. If I start to type a little bit negative in my ticket, maybe it's going to get dealt with quicker. We don't want that. One of my customers joked, maybe we should escalate tickets if they put positive statements in there, and that might be a good way of doing it. But what our one customer has done, which I think is really powerful, is they're capturing that sentiment and then they're rolling that up as a report against their services. So they're now doing a monthly report that basically says, based on the sentiment of the tickets that are being raised, and the support tickets, not the requests, the standard service requests, just on the support side. How well are we doing in terms of user sentiment and how we're delivering that? And they're using that as an extra metric now to get a better understanding of the user experience of their customer base. Now, AI-enriched workflows and the way we talked about that and the way we deliver that in our product is all based on the concept of you're bringing AI into that workflow, right? So you're just triggering a particular action within that workflow, and then maybe having some cascading rules within your system to move forward. Where we have added in a new capability, which we call Aviator Agents, is where we're now bringing workflow to AI. All right. So now, and this to me is all about that journey of trust with AI, right? Everyone and their dog these days is talking about, and then maybe their cat is talking about agentic AI, right? And having agents do all this work for us. And isn't it great, right? And then you get the whole concept of things like MCP servers, where suddenly authorization is now less of an issue because apparently we can just talk our way into connecting to different systems. But we all live in an enterprise world, and there's one word that we need, that we all rely on, and that's the word is trust, right? We need to be able to trust that AI is going to act in a little bit more of a deterministic way if we're going to use it. So with our Aviator Agents concepts, we're bringing this in. We're giving you the ability to define your own agents, right? And define the tasks and the activities it's going to perform. Now, that doesn't necessarily need to be just Gen AI activities, right? Where you're calling Aviator, or you're generating a summary, or analyzing data, or manipulating data in some way. But it also allows you to include automation or integrations, or even tasks for humans in the loop as part of that flow. Likewise, you can have things run in parallel or in a classic kind of serial view. It's all delivered through our standard codeless configuration that we have within our product. In fact, at the beginning of this session that started today, the ITIL Tools Day, I was actually building a new Aviator agent within the system that was looking at how to provide a summary and next steps on an incident ticket. I built it within about an hour now, and I know it a little bit better than others, but it was very easy to configure this, and it is within the system. And of course, there's the ability to enable or disable that agent at any time. Now, what we also do as well is, and this comes back to that trust aspect, is having that full audit history of what an agent is doing, right? So we generate session records, which are accessible within the system. You can see who has access to them, which has that full audit history of all the actions that are taken place, all the tasks that the agent is asked to perform, which you can then use for reporting, whether that's how many times an agent's run, the amount of time that has been saved, the ROI of that particular agent, right? But also when things go wrong, which, with AI still being relatively new for some people and you're starting to build things out, you got the ability to re-trigger activities within that set. All right. So let's give you a couple of examples of those more complex Aviator agent activities that we would do. So
Dean, just to let you know, we've got 1 minute.
Okay, right. I will go a little bit quicker then. One that we talk about is change risk analysis. So being able to perform analysis on the changes that get created. For us as humans, you're looking at 15 to 20 minutes to do that, whereas for AI, it's obviously significantly better. And that's not even taking into account human bias, right? And the amount of stuff that we bring to the table as humans when we're reviewing stuff. And if you haven't had your coffee in the morning. Another example is knowledge management. So this one I think is a really big and powerful one, especially as we learn to adopt and want to use AI more. AI is nothing without knowledge and your enterprise knowledge. So what a better way to use AI than to help improve your overall knowledge that's in the system. So generating knowledge articles based off your incidents and starting to build up that information available for users to self-solve can make a huge difference. One of our customers, they estimated it, and we did the study with them, It's almost an hour of human time with every knowledge article that's created. And that's not even considering the impact on ticket deflection as part of it. To give you an idea of that workflow of how you build it, this is how you build out that task plan. I'm going to run this video. Well, I'm going to run this video. It's only about 35 seconds long, just to kind of show you that quickly that running. So here's my agent. Here's all the details about how it's built. We'll enable that agent, and then we'll go across to our incident record, and we'll open up our incident. So this one's a SAP invoice one. I'm going to mark it as a knowledge candidate. It's got enough information on there. We save that, and that agent is triggered. That agent now is going to generate a related knowledge article. In fact, there we go. And you can see at this point it's in draft. That session record has been created, and we can look at the details on that session record. In fact, because it's run so quickly, because this is quite a simple one, and it's done 6 different activities, it's already completed at the time of running. So I actually recorded this live. And then I click through, and I can see that knowledge article that's been generated. And we've got a description, we've got a summary, we've got tags associated, and we've even got recommendations for readability. And this record has also been pushed into a ready for review and approval before actually being published. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into what we do within OpenText and specifically within AI. I'll leave this on the screen in case there's any questions that need to be asked, but I guess I kind of went a little bit over time, actually, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask one quick question. So
sure.
I really like the idea of AI and sentiment that you touched upon. The logging and reporting on the sentiment, how do you define it and differentiate between what is frustration or negative sentiment based on process and system versus that on, if you like, feedback on the agent themselves with regard to their response to incident or request coming into the agent?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So with the example that we had with one customer, they're actually looking at they're actually running 2 calls with their LLM to not just look at the and they're focusing on the sentiment that the users put into the ticket, but they're also looking at tone. So they're trying to see if there's something related to it. Now, sentiment on its own, going back to your thing, is just one dynamic, right? There's other aspects you need to take into account, potentially like how quickly the updates are from the user, how long that ticket has been around, and what I would say is, with the one customer that we've been doing this with recently, they've been starting to tweak that sentiment analysis. So first thing that they've done is they've said, okay, we're going to separate the scores around sentiment for service requests as opposed to general support tickets that come in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to capture a bit of data about the timing of how long those tickets are. So if a ticket has been open or should have been sat for a longer time, we know obviously if the sentiment goes negative, that's obviously a factor in there. And they're actually in the process now of creating an AI workflow to kind of pull all that other data in to do some extra analysis about what the view of that sentiment is in relation to the service.
Awesome. Dean, very interesting presentation. Thank you very much for your time today. And
No
there's a couple of questions in the queue, so I'm going to leave you to answer that, although I think you answered one of them regards to the security and the PII management there by the AI. So we're going to quickly move on to IFS and Kirsten Wright, who is the Senior Customer Success Manager there. Kirsten has a passion for putting the customer at the heart of everything she does, and with a strong focus on collaboration and optimization. Her main focus is always helping organizations achieve their goals by aligning technology with business outcomes. And today, Kirsten is going to share with us how Clarks has embraced the need to adapt and innovate, and how they have moved from an on-premise service management system to a modern cloud-hosted solution, and their commitment to global operational efficiency and excellence in service delivery. Welcome, Kirsten. You have the last slot for today. So I know we're a little bit late, but I think we have a bit of grace. So apologies for being a couple of minutes late.
That's okay, don't worry. So if I share my screen. Is that fine, Ashley? Yep, you can see that okay?
Perfect.
Cool. Right. So hi everyone, and welcome to our session showcasing Clark's success story with IFS Assist. My name is Kirsten Wright, and I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager for IFS. Today, we'll walk through how our customer Clark's, a global retailer, transformed its service management processes using our solution. From solving critical challenges to achieving enterprise-wide efficiency, this journey highlights how a powerful ITSM tool can make all the difference in a transformation journey. So here's what we'll cover today. We'll start by introducing Clark's, giving you an at-a-glance overview. Next, we'll dive into the key challenges they were facing before moving into the solution. So how IFS stepped in to address those challenges and support Clark's needs. From there, we'll explore the impact IFS Assist had on their organisation, highlighting the results that they achieved. Finally, we'll wrap up by summarising the vision Clark's see for driving continued success. Founded in 1825, Clark's, a globally recognised footwear retailer, is celebrating this year its 200th anniversary. Headquartered in Somerset, UK, the company operates a network of over 550 stores worldwide, with key markets in the UK, Europe, the US, and Asia. With a history steeped in tradition, Clark's has also embraced the need to adapt and innovate. This journey from an on-premise service management system to a modern cloud-hosted solution underscores Clark's commitment to operational efficiency and excellence in service delivery. For 20 years, Clark's relied on IFS Assist in its on-premise setup, which had served the company reliably. During this time, the system formed the backbone of service management, helping Clark's address core operational needs. However, as the business grew and evolved, the complexities of maintaining and adapting the system to meet modern demands began to surface. One key challenge was the limited scope of the CMDB. While it provided basic asset management capabilities, it was primarily focused on end-user devices. The absence of a more comprehensive, service-aware CMDB meant that critical information about configurations, dependencies, and infrastructure was scattered across spreadsheets maintained by individual teams. This really siloed approach hindered visibility and slowed the resolution of incidents, as IT staff often relied on institutional knowledge rather than consolidated, accessible data. So over the years, as various configurations were added, the service catalogue was overwhelmed by irrelevant service offerings, making it harder for end users to locate the services they needed. This led to the significant operational strain the service desk faced, where they were managing around 9,000 emails each month. This manual email-based workflow required service desk agents to interpret and process every incoming request, often leading to delays, inconsistencies, and duplicated efforts. The lack of standardization made it challenging to prioritize and route tickets effectively, further compounding the inefficiencies. Faced with these challenges, Clark's began exploring options to modernize its service management, aiming to enhance efficiency, improve end-user satisfaction, and future-proof its operations for this stage of growth. At the heart of this was implementing a fit-for-future CMDB. So after careful evaluation, Clark selected IFS Assist's cloud-hosted solution as the best fit for its evolving service management needs. The decision was driven by the familiarity of the system, which minimized disruption for users, combined with a seamless migration path and robust modern capabilities. This approach allowed Clark's to build on the strengths of its long-standing on-premise system while embracing a solution that could address the growing demands of its global operations. The migration process was carefully planned to ensure a smooth transition and broad stakeholder management, which was really, really key. Recognizing that the shift to cloud was as much about people and processes as it was about technology, Clarks worked with the IFS Assist technical team to conduct workshops and vision setting sessions to involve IT staff and end users from the outset. These sessions address concerns about the change while showcasing how the new solution would improve efficiency, scalability, and user experience. By demonstrating the potential of IFS Assist cloud capabilities, the workshops helped win over teams who were initially quite skeptical about the move, but to maximize the benefits of the new system, Clarks leveraged the IFS Academy for training, and that equipped staff with the knowledge to unlock its full potential. So really, really taking the team with us on the journey. The training encouraged employees to rethink the existing processes and explore new ways of working. For example, the team redefined the whole service catalogue, adopting a really streamlined structure with 2 clear options for end users. Either something is broken and I need something. And this approach dramatically simplified the user experience, making it intuitive for employees to find the services they needed and reducing that risk of confusion or errors. The migration to the IFS Assist cloud-hosted solution has redefined Clarks' approach to service management, delivering clear and impactful results. The transition significantly reduced the internal burden of system maintenance, enabling the IT teams to shift their focus from routine admin tasks to more strategic initiatives that enhance business outcomes. Efficiency gains have been a standout result of the migration. Processes that previously consumed sort of hours now take minutes, reflecting the streamlined workflows and enhanced capabilities of the cloud platform. End users have also benefited from the introduction of an intuitive self-service portal, enabling Clarks to eliminate that email-based workflow. This feature makes it simpler to submit and track service requests, improving accessibility and satisfaction while simultaneously reducing that workload on the service desk. The integration with Power BI has added a layer of data-driven intelligence, enabling that real-time visibility into service performance, which has been really, really key for them. Customizable dashboards are providing actionable insights into instant management and ticket resolution, equipping the IT team to address issues proactively and refine operations. These changes have modernized Clarks' IT operations, enhancing the user experience, operational efficiency, and decision-making capabilities. The results highlight the success of Clarks' transition to a cloud-based framework and really has positioned the company for sustained improvement and scalability. So looking ahead, Clarks is building on the success of its cloud migration by pursuing targeted enhancements to its service management framework. A key priority is the implementation of a service-aware CMDB, like we mentioned before. This is being accomplished through the Assist ETM, which is the Enterprise Transformation Manager, which helps to integrate and orchestrate all these disparate systems. This initiative aims to integrate data from existing systems of record to create a unified real-time view of configuration items and their relationships. By consolidating this information, Clarks will gain deeper insights into the IT environment, improving the ability to anticipate and address service impacts more proactively. Another focus area is refining service level agreements and operational level agreements. Clarks increasingly works with external partners for IT support, so robust SLA and OLA processes will ensure accountability and measurable performance standards, which is obviously really, really important to them. By leveraging Assist's capabilities to monitor and report on these metrics, Clarks plans to strengthen vendor relationships and drive higher levels of service reliability. Looking beyond these specific initiatives, Clarks recognises that continuous improvement is critical to sustaining the benefits of its modernisation journey. Regular reviews of service processes, user feedback, and technology advancements like AI will help the company adapt its service management framework to enable future challenges and opportunities. This forward-thinking approach positions Clarks to remain agile, scalable, and aligned with its business goals. Thank you.
Kirsten, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That was really interesting. And I love the fact when we sometimes use case studies where we have customers that are so close to our hearts. And I know Clarks, and certainly for my children's shoes, it's always nice to see how we use modern technology to transform what feels like small niche, more family-oriented businesses. We have a couple of questions, so let me ask those. So you mentioned already that CMD was one of the core challenges that they had with the on-premise tool. What were the other challenges they had with having on-premise that drove the need to go to a cloud-based solution?
Yeah, I think with Clarks, they being sort of retail, very sort of having a very fast-paced environment where sometimes their IT department were very reactive and didn't have a lot of bandwidth and capacity to keep up to date with their ESM, ITSM platform. So they were sort of on an older version because they just lacked the resources to put in to keeping it up to date. So they weren't benefiting and being able to leverage the newer innovation and technology that was coming with Assist. So by moving to the cloud, we do all that for them. So all they have to do is do their testing and make sure everything's working as expected. But we've done all the heavy lifting and all the upgrade work that they were struggling to do. So it's now enabling them to keep ahead, keep innovating, using the new features and functionality that Assist is bringing them with in terms of AI and Copilot, smart routing and all that sort of stuff, which they wouldn't have done because they would have been on an older version. So yeah, moving to the clouds really helped them to innovate quicker.
Really good. One of the things I talk about to customers is that any of these projects this size, it's an enormous undertaking, and requires the rest of the organization to be on board with this change, right? And I know on one of your slides you mentioned that you did quite a lot of training with the staff of Clarks. How else did you ensure a smooth transition by making sure that the staff and the users during the migration were with you on that journey to make it overall a success and a successful change?
Yeah, well, I think we identified a sort of pool of super users from various parts of the organization and various geographies as well. So we would have representatives from facilities, from change, from HR, in Malaysia, in the US, in the UK, that would form like a sort of super user pool and would help to bring requirements together. So we really felt we wanted the Clarks team to felt that they were all pulling in the same direction. They were all inputting into the new way of working. We refined processes and did lots of sort of little automations and to make their life easier. So we really looked to these sort of super users to bring their teams together to help them. And we ran various little competitions with them and things like that. So it really brought them all together to understand what the journey was going to look like.
I have one more question. Did the IFS implementation completely remove the email support, or do they still have it? And what's the future plan to completely shut down email support?
Yeah, they actually have got rid of email support. So everything is done via the portal now, the self-service portal. So they have been able to remove the need for email.
Kirsten, thank you very much for that presentation. Very insightful and very interesting. And I think now before we end this morning's session, we're going to run another poll. In summary, from what I've learned, that in the burgeoning pressures and demands for AI and automated solutions, today's presentations gave me the feeling that AI is already a settled component of our service management tools and practices. But what's really come across loud and clear, which I'm personally excited about or really more relieved about, is that we have highlighted the need to focus on the core foundations and people-oriented practices and people focused to drive delivery of services and their effectiveness. We've heard about the physical approval processes, the importance and criticality of capacity management and CMDBs, and weirdly, that Dave is everywhere in our service management practices. So we've had lots of questions come in today, and if they haven't been answered online, we will pass those over to our presenters for the day. There's some questions that have come in. We are recording this session, and we will send out the links after today. And again, if you need further information, you can visit atv.peoplecert.org. I'm just going to put on my screen very quickly the 3 research papers that I shared earlier on. So you've got the QR codes and you can go and visit those. And I'd just like to finish with some quick thank yous. So I'd like to thank all our presenters for this morning, not only taking out time to create the content and contributing to the event, but also doing it in the spirit of thought leadership, sharing of their experiences and imparting ideas and guidance to you guys at the audience. But mostly to you in the audience for taking time out what would be a very busy schedule to share this time with us. I hope you leave feeling that the time was well spent with us and have already penciled in to look out for the date and join us next year. So thank you very much and have a good day and maybe see you this afternoon.